In 1987, during illegal excavations in the ruins of the old Black Hollow psychiatric clinic, deep in the countryside, a group of urban explorers uncovered what remained of a sealed basement. Amid blackened debris and corroded equipment, they found a partially melted metal cabinet that still held something unusual: a series of scorched pages, medical notes, and a reel-to-reel tape recorder, surprisingly intact. These materials were later dubbed the Harrow Record, a reference to the clinic's chief physician in the 1950s, Dr. Elias Harrow, a name nearly erased from American medical history, yet whispered for decades in local legends as a symbol of madness, cruelty, and unexplained disappearances. This video is an attempt to reconstruct what may have happened behind the walls of Black Hollow. The files are incomplete, but enough was recovered to reveal a story that is deeply disturbing. What you're about to hear are reconstructed excerpts, based on the recovered notes and tapes. Dates are approximate. Patient names have been omitted. And whatever you believe, be prepared not to sleep tonight. Dr. Elias Harrow was born in 1912 in Boston. He graduated with honors in medicine from Miskatonic University, an institution known both for its academic excellence and for rumors of controversial practices in its psychiatric laboratories. From an early age, Harrow displayed an unusual fascination with the workings of the human mind, but not with healing, with dismantling it. Colleagues reported that during his residency years, Harrow would spend entire nights observing catatonic patients, whispering questions into their ears as if expecting answers from another world. One of his professors once described him as brilliant yet inhumanly cold. In 1947, he vanished from the traditional medical circuit and took up a directorial position at a small clinic, deep in the countryside, Black Hollow Psychiatric Clinic. Officially, it was a facility for the rehabilitation of war trauma and severe mental illness. Unofficially, Black Hollow was a place no one wanted to be admitted to. Records suggest that Elias Harrow instituted experimental treatments, inspired by practices he referred to as neurospiritual. He believed that certain mental disorders did not stem solely from the mind, but from doors left open to something beyond what we call reality. But that wasn't all. Surviving patients, or rather, escapees, claimed he made them draw strange symbols, memorize words in non-existent languages, and recite prayers in front of mirrors veiled in cloth. And there was something in Dr. Harrow's gaze, an empty expression that rarely blinked, a restrained smile that always seemed on the verge of opening for no reason. Those who worked with him all said the same thing, almost in unison.
He had a look
kind of creepy. Black Hollow Clinic was not an ordinary hospital. Located miles from any town, surrounded by silent woods, it seemed forgotten by time. Staff who agreed to work there never stayed long, and the patients, when they left, were never the same. Under Dr. Harrow's command, the treatment methods grew increasingly questionable. Medical practices began to blur with religious, occult, and linguistic elements. Harrow claimed that certain mental illnesses could be deprogrammed if the patient lost all sense of time, identity, and sleep. It was during this period that he began developing experiments with induced sleep deprivation. Patients were kept awake for days, exposed to constant visual and auditory stimuli. He documented every reaction in his journals. Many slipped into irreversible psychotic states. Some stopped speaking entirely, Others began whispering unknown words repeatedly. Harrow's theory was simple and terrifying. In total deprivation, the mind would open. And once opened, it could hear things that waking eyes could never see. Voices, presences, inner doors that, according to him, were never meant to be touched. Notes found in the recovered files reveal that patients began drawing the same symbols on walls and bed sheets without ever having contact with each other. Some claim to see the shadow doctor in the hallways, even when Harrow was locked inside his office. There are records of 3 patients in separate sessions using the same phrase to describe the doctor's eyes. He looks inside us. He knows where we are even when we sleep. By that point, the clinic wasn't treating anyone. It was collapsing from within. In March of 1959, a wave of unexplainable events overtook the Black Hollow Clinic. Records report mass psychotic episodes, screaming in every room at the same time, and patients attempting self-harm after looking into mirrors. Instead of halting the experiments, Dr. Elias Harrow intensified them. He isolated patients in lightless rooms, extended sleep deprivation periods, and introduced a new element: collective voice rituals. He made the patients repeat phrases in an unknown language while standing before mirrors draped in black veils. In his journals, Harrow wrote that he had found the correct frequency, a vocal tone that, according to him, opened the crack between worlds. On the night of April 14th, one final recording was made. The tape, heavily damaged, contains only one audible section. "They're here. Finally, they can hear me." And then, a high-pitched sound lasting 11 minutes, as if something were vibrating in the foundations of the clinic. By dawn, Black Hollow was engulfed in flames. No electrical faults were found. No concrete cause was ever recorded. The fire began in the basement where Harrow conducted his rituals. Dr. Elias Harrow's body was discovered among the melted wreckage, still wearing his lab coat. His face was partially intact. He wore a faint smile. But his eyes were gone. 5 patients survived. Transferred to other institutions, they began reporting identical hallucinations. They described seeing a doctor in a dark lab coat standing at the foot of the bed. Even in different hospitals, they described the same face, the same eyes. Some nurses began reporting similar episodes. They spoke of a sudden chill in the air before seeing him standing in a hallway mirror. He never spoke. He only watched, as if he knew the patient no longer belonged entirely to this world. And since then, no one has spoken the name Elias Harrow out loud inside a psychiatric hospital. The so-called Harrow record remains sealed inside a vault at the State Institute's archives. Most of its contents were lost in the fire, but what survived should never have been recovered. The audio recordings still cause distortion when played. Security footage synced with them becomes unstable. Technicians have reported nausea, disorientation, and the feeling of being watched during restoration work. Among the files, one phrase appears handwritten repeatedly across different pages of Harrow's journal, always in a shaky but legible script. It does not belong to any known language. Translators failed. But one surviving patient, still institutionalized in a catatonic state, reacted when the phrase was spoken aloud. "Keith Venner, illustrive noor," he cried, and after that, he smiled again. Whatever it was that Dr. Elias Harrow opened inside that clinic, it may not have been closed.